Hey everyone. So today I'm going to be talking about something that is going to be controversial, and it's a big thing going on in the world, and I'm sure you've noticed on some level, but I'm sure that many of you have probably, as we all do at some point in our lives, purposely ignored it, kind of pushed it out of our consciousness and awareness intentionally. Um, So, before I get into that, I also want to mention how I've been noticing, a lot of these psychics, people who are saying they're psychic at least. I mean, everybody's psychic on some level, but people who are, on YouTube's calling themselves psychics, talking about like this, it's like almost become like a prophecy that there's going to be a bunch of like information about the deep state and like Joe Biden corruption and stuff like that that's going to be released to the public. And they're saying it December, they're saying it's going to happen January, and now I'm hearing people even saying that's going to happen in February. And like, sure, there might be something about like his laptop or whatever, but like, it's not like what people are saying where this like deep state is going to become exposed. I don't know. It's this false hope is what's being circulated online lately, and I just wanted to talk about like a real conspiracy that's going on behind the scenes that I feel crazy even talking about, but here I am, so I'm just gonna talk about it. So, one way to start this off is by just going over how in the past there have been people who get in groups and they do group meditation. I'm sure you've probably heard about this where people can focus on like compassion or love or well-being or whatever while they all meditate as a group. And in that city where they're doing it, the crime rate will actually go down. And I don't know if this is by like 2% or like 20% or 50% or 98%. I don't know the details, but I do know that that is a real thing. And that basically your energy or your consciousness, even just like what you're focusing on, really changes the world around you. And people seem to really forget that a lot. So if you were trying to basically bring down the level of consciousness or lower the vibe, in other words, if you were trying to just destroy humanity, the best way to do that would be through just like the collective mind. And so this is going to be very unpopular. I'm sure most people, or maybe not most, but a lot of people will, probably hate me for saying this and even mock me for saying this and give me a thumbs down or whatever. So, I mean, if you like this, if you agree with what I'm saying, maybe give me a thumbs up instead to help counter this, because I've mentioned things like this before and people just really despised me for saying it. But there are, two or three outlets really that come to my mind. Two of them have to do with human expression, human creativity. And so there are two fields of human creativity. One is obviously art, and specifically within that there is music. Music is a great way to kind of mind control people, if you want to call it that. Now, that is a pretty big statement or big concept, mind control, because it brings up all sorts of ideas. But ultimately, mind control is a really simple thing. You're just manipulating the way somebody views the world and controlling them energetically, because if you control how somebody thinks, that's going to change their auric field. So the best way to, basically bring down the vibe, and I'll explain why somebody would want to do that later on. But the best way to do that would be to infect people through music, through their creativity, and then also human sexuality. The energy of human sexuality is also a very creative energy. In fact, it's used to create new life. But there's a lot of energy within that. If you know anything about Kundalini, it's a creative energy, and you use it to basically manifest things into reality. And so human sexual energy, human sexuality is a very powerful energy. And it's also like a lure on a hook. It's like, it's easy to control people with that. And so there's two. There's human sexuality and there's music. And then the other one is just like repetitive, just exposure to things through movies or video games or whatever it may be. And so that's the third one. And so I want to talk about the first one, which I think is the biggest elephant in the living room that nobody talks about, but it's so obvious. Children understand this, adults don't. And that is the normalization of dehumanizing sexual dehumanization, just dehumanizing human sexuality. And that is done more and more so through porn. And if you haven't noticed, it's probably a good thing, but if you haven't noticed, it's gotten much worse over the years. And I'd say around the 90s is kind of like when things started getting worse and worse. Of course, this is also, synchronized with the music as well. I'm not saying you shouldn't, I'm not saying porn is evil. I'm not saying music is evil either, obviously. Although I think some Christianity has kind of tuned into this truth on some level, and like that's why, these things are considered sins, which on some level makes sense, but ultimately I think it can be used for good purposes as well. It's just that it's not, for the most part. It is in some instances, but the overall industries that are driving these are going in the same direction. There's like dehumanizing porn and dehumanizing lyrics in music, and they're both kind of going at the same time, and they're both going like that, kind of like forming a triangle, I guess you could say. Either way, they're two different things, but they're coming together and they're going like that, making that shape. And they're going the same direction, if you get what I'm saying here. I think of it as being one force acting through different things. So there's that. There's the dehumanization of human sexuality, which is becoming normalized and considered, weird for me to even talk about. Well, yeah, some people are just into weird stuff. That's normal now. I mean, so was Hitler. Hitler was normal. It was normal to be pro-Hitler when he rose to power. And on some level, I feel like this is almost like the Third Reich of destroying the human spirit. And when I say this is inhumane and not human, I mean this is not human. As in, this is not normal human behavior. And this reminds me of the alpha male studies that psychologists use, and the idea that we, there's all these ideas in pop culture about what it means to be an alpha male. And where that comes from actually is from a psychology study where they had wolves in captivity. And they were studying the behavior of these wolves, the packs of wolves, because they were trying to understand like the psychology of their behavior. Behavioralism, I guess you could call it. And what they noticed was, that there was like this dominating, like alpha male that kind of took over and just like dictated everything, basically dictatorship. But what they've come to realize in more modern times, which pop culture has yet to catch up to this fact, is that these were not wolves in the wild. These were not wolves acting naturally, like normal wolves. These were depraved, scared wolves that were locked up in cages by humans. They were captive under a different species controlling them, and basically they were in jail. That would be a good comparison. And you see how people behave in prison or jail compared to the more natural world, natural world outside of that. It's different. Human behavior is a lot different. And so basically what's trying to happen here is there's something that wants us to believe that that's normal, that's natural, when in fact that is definitely depraved. And depraved is not natural. Those are different. A depraved behavior is a broken behavior that is not functioning properly. That's why it's depraved. And so what we're being conditioned into thinking is that these depraved ways of being are what's natural, and that we've been conditioned to be all formal and proper and whatever it is that we're supposed to be a good citizen of society, when really our natural behavior is actually much more like vicious and animalistic. And so we're being programmed and brainwashed to follow these things, and this is affecting our energetic field. This is affecting our expectations, our hopes, our dreams, crushing our human spirit, causing people to behave differently. And this is taking its toll on our reality and is preventing us from being able to manifest our dreams. It's draining our energy. We're losing our ability to be ourselves, or be a natural human being, in other words. So I want to talk about why is this, who's behind this. This is a conspiracy. I would call this a real conspiracy, 100%. Although I can't really say it's as simple as there is a organization behind this, because it's more complex than this. Because sure, there are people pushing this. I mean, it's not like the people who run, the porn industry are, out there to spread the love. That's not the purpose of it. Well, first of all, it's to make money, but secondly, it's not about spreading love at all. You don't go to a porn website and see that theme. If anything, it's the complete opposite. It's everything wrong, everything vile, everything that's bad that is somehow sexy. Well, I guess if you're brainwashed, yeah. But my point here is there are entities, spirits, beings that do not live in a human body that are draining us. And this sounds crazy, I know. It's kind of almost like the Matrix or something. It's not quite the Matrix. That's not what I'm saying here. But it is energy beings that want to cause a dysfunction within our auric field. And when there's a dysfunction, like a deprivation, we're depraved of some basic like human behavior that's normal, like the wolves locked up in cages, changes everything. And it depletes our awareness in the way that a parasite can grow on a tree, like a parasitic, like ivy or I don't know, moss or something, whatever it is that could grow out of a tree and be a parasite to the tree. It takes advantages of its weakness, which is a tree can't move too fast. A tree can't really do anything about it. A tree may even know that it's there, but not be able to do anything about it. The difference between humans and trees is that humans are very good at doing something about an issue. Humans are very good at adapting and changing things. So if there's a known threat, humans are pretty good at surviving and figuring out a solution. Humans make tools. That's why we have all this technology. But my point is, in order for an energetic being to kind of take advantage of us, it has to cause this dysfunction. And so that's why it's lowering our vibration. That's why it's, causing this depravity, this depraved behavior. It's so that it can do what it does, which is feed off of our energy. And this isn't something that's like there's like one bad, type of entity out there. It's more complex. It's like a rainbow of it's a spectrum of all sorts of things going on. People feed off of each other's energy too on some level, and that can be a good thing too. You can kind of like have a group and everybody's like vibing on some sense, like having a good vibe, and people can do that, and that's great, and there's an exchange of energy there. But it's not so black and white either. I don't want to make it be so polarized, because there are entities, energetic beings, where it's kind of neutral and it's not really good for you or bad for you. But then there's entities where it's just like straight bad for you, and they just purely want you to be depraved as possible and be disturbed and think that rape and murder is natural human behavior. Sure, on some level you could say it's natural, but it's not really humane. And if it's not humane, it's not human. There's a reason why the word humane sounds like human, at least in my opinion. I don't know the details of that, but that makes sense to me on an energetic level. So I don't want to make this video too long, so I'm going to go ahead and end this video here, and I'll probably make a part 2 about what can people do about this. But basically that is compassion and focusing on the infinite universal mystery of creation and existence, and mostly compassion, and focusing on those two things as the tool to be able to see what is fake and what is not real as far as human behavior. So give this a thumbs up if you like this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And I'm gonna end this video because it's already going on 20 minutes almost. So have a great day. Take care. Avoid all the nastiness out there in the world.